Good morning, everybody. It's Amy. You have stumbled on my Flosstube channel all about cross stitch. Today I have cross stitch and a bit of knitting, so I've got that. I am Amy from Amy Stitchery. Today is Sunday, April 30th, and I figure it's been almost 2 weeks, I think, since my last video, and I believe this is Flosstube number 86. It's been a busy 2 weeks. I keep intending to do one every week, and just lately life has been busy, so every 2 weeks. But I figured today is a good day. Pardon me while I clean my glasses. It's Sunday, so I'm off. My master's is completed, so I have no homework anymore for the rest of my life. Thank you, Jesus. May 1st is tomorrow. That's where I was going with that. May 1st is tomorrow. So this video is a lot about lots of things. I have some WIP updates. I have plans for May and Maynia. I don't do the May Maynia in the traditional sense of the word. I did it once or twice and I decided that's really not the way it works for me. So, and I have WIP to talk about. So there we go. I have my Love You to the Death Star and back again. Yes, we are a Star Wars house here. I have coffee. I have makeup on today, which is new for me. But I still have wet hair, so I just got out of the shower. Which is funny because it's 11 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, when you get one day off between work days, you do what you do. So let's start with stitching. If you're new here, welcome. I've had new subscribers. I have new subscribers almost every week. I thank you for taking the time to like and subscribe to my channel. It is much appreciated. If you keep wanting to join in my crazy, I'm welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. If you're following me and have been following me for a long time, I appreciate you returning as always. I love reading the comments. I love interacting with everyone, and I say I'm an awful lot, just a heads up for those of you that may annoy. Yeah. Thanks. I don't know what else to say. I'm always in awe of when I get new subscribers. I try not to watch my videos back because honestly, I think who would ever want to watch me? But I do this for me, and I do this because I love the craft, and it's fun. You can see behind me, the scenery has changed. So this was my office, was a dedicated office for the last, since fall of 2020, since I started going to school for my master's. And I don't need it as a dedicated office anymore because that is over. So it is now partial office, partial bedroom. So that when my granddaughter Zoe comes or any other guests come, they have a bedroom to sleep in upstairs on the main floor of the house. So I still have my WIP board right here that has a picture of all my WIPs. The ones that I've moved over in that corner are my finishes so far this year. So maybe someday I'll give you a close-up of that and how that rolls for me. You can see my Huckleberry Farm hanging there. And this is a cabinet that I got from my daughter behind me, and then you can see the printers next to me. So it's a little different. It's okay. I think this setup will work very well for Stitch With Me's too. It's cloudy and dreary here today, and I have my light on, and I think this is going to be good lighting. So this could work out for some Stitch With Me's, which I'd love to get back into doing since I don't have homework anymore. How many times can I say that in a video? I don't have homework anymore. I think that's probably 5 or 6 times already. It's starting to sink into me to not feel that pressure of having homework that you need to do and trying to do the things that you want to do. So you're probably going to see me smile a whole lot more. The last year of it has been tough just because life and job and short staffing and all the things, you know. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to not having to do that again. I have a very busy May coming up. I have my graduation for my master's program. I've also been recognized by my employer, so I have a recognition dinner to go to. I have dinner with friends. My daughter's wedding gown alterations will happen. I have the graduation of my students. And we have Memorial Day in there, which we're going to our first camping trip, Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, it's a busy month, but it's all good. All good. All good stuff. And let's get into the stitching. 5 minutes in. Okay. As always, so I'm going to show you the first thing I always show, or almost always show, because I'm always trying to work on it, is my oldest WIP. This is Lost No More. It is a Dimensions Gold kit. The pattern is destroyed now, it's frayed, it's so old. I started this in the 90s. Put it away while I raised some kids. This came back out a couple of years ago. I actually think it was in 2020. I don't know. I would have to go back in my videos. I don't know how long I've been doing videos. But it's come back out, and I worked on it on and off, long spurts of it, and then, taking a break, and now I'm back on it, gung-ho again. So I've been working in this pathway right up in here, and I've got the sheep's head in, and you'll see this. This is stitched on the fabric, the kit fabric with the kit floss. But I did contact Simplicity, and I got an electronic version of this pattern that does work in Pattern Keeper. It just, you can't highlight symbols, but you can definitely track where you are. So for the full coverage, it's making it super easy. I have run out of a couple of threads, but I found a website that converts DMC to Dimensions Gold, and I also have been able to color match it just on my own. So that's worked out quite well. So this is how it will look like when it's done. I've also done some of the back stitching as I go, so it won't all be left in the end. And I took it off the scroll rods for you so you could see it in all of its glory. And here we are. I didn't bring my tablet in here, but I believe I'm almost at 76% complete. So this is the whole thing. I'm going to bring it close. You can see where, let me see if I can do this. I worked on this path, this brick wall here, this brick wall here, the path that comes down. I'm working on this. I did work his robe over and started to put the sheep's head in. Let's see if I can get closer of that. There you go. I did the back stitching around his hand. Let's see. Yeah. I truly, sorry, itchy nose. Flosstube, itchy nose, right? Itchy eyes. I'm truly loving how this is coming out. This is funny. I see this every time I show it. This is a sheep bottom right here, her sheep butt. There you go. And so there he is. He will go back on the scroll frame. I've been working my projects in a KZ Creation lap stand that I've had for quite some time, and I bought the conversion clamp to it so it can hold a Q-snap, it can hold scroll rods now. It held scroll rods before. It can hold a Q-snap, it can hold a hoop, it can hold anything I want it to now. And I've been using that and stitching two-handed, and my stitching is fast. It's fast. In a good evening of just one, well, and keep in mind some of this is half stitch, so some of this background is half stitch. In one good 2 or 3 hour evening, I can get anywhere from 600 to 1,000 stitches in, depending on what I'm stitching. So the two-handed stitching really, really helps. But this is it. This is where we are. Maybe that'll be my screen grab. I'm still hoping, I was hoping to get this done last year, and then I kind of petered out on it. I'm still hoping that this year is the year. We'll see. I've been trying to give full coverage love, as you're going to see today, because I figure if I don't ever stitch on them, they have no hope of ever getting done. Coffee's good. Okay. Next thing I'm going to show you is the stitch that I'm stitching with Gail from Gail's Golden Needle. It is hashtag Wood Sunday Sale. We are on the Eagle from Cottage Garden Samplings. I am stitching this on 32 count Valor by Picture This Plus with the called for threads 2/2. Let's see. So this is how far, if you follow me on Instagram, you know how far I've gotten. I think the last time I showed it here, I just had the head done and maybe outline of wing. Last weekend, I think we've been on it 3 weekends, Gail. Has it been 3 weekends or 4? Is this the 4th one maybe? I don't remember. I think this is the 3rd one. Last week I got these wings done, both wings. This morning I was working on this part here and these little chevrons in here. And this will be the stitch I do for the rest of the day today. Liking how it's turning out on this fabric. This is the called for. I had started it out on 40 count Earl Grey by Picture This Plus. No, sorry. 40 count Earl Grey by Grace Notes Fabrics. And I didn't like how the grays were showing up on that fabric. So I switched to, I had a piece of 32 count Valor, which makes it a different size than my Bear, but I'm okay with that. It just is what it is. I wanted to stitch out a stash, so that's what I'm doing. So on the Valor, everything shows up great, which makes sense because it's a called for fabric. The next thing I worked on was Owl Forest Embroidery. This is Southern Land. This has been in my WIP pile, I think, since 2000. Well, I could tell you if I opened up my book. I have no idea, but I feel like it's been in here forever. It's ridiculous that it's still in here. No, May 10th of 2020 is when I started it. I'm stitching this on a standard 36 count linen. I don't even know the brand. I think it's probably Zweigart. It's nothing special. Or, well, not that Zweigart's nothing special, but you know what I mean? Not an overdyed. It's just a standard linen. I worked on this motif right here and worked here. I like working on this. It only got a couple evenings and I was super tired, so it didn't get done. But I considered this patriotic because my WIP go was patriotic, 6 days, and I got tired of working on what I thought I was going to work on, so I worked on this. The Eagle also qualifies as patriotic. So for those of you that are new, my WIP go is of categories. So in April, 2 squares were called. Both of them were patriotic. Patriotic or summer. Where is my WIP go board? There it is. So it was patriotic or summer, so I can stitch on anything that qualifies. It was 3 days each block, so because it got called for both blocks, it got 6 days. And so I stitched on the Owl Forest and the Eagle, both patriotic to me. And that gave me my 6 days. So there you go. We'll talk about WIP go for May, because it really fed into what I was already planning to do. The next WIP I'm going to show you is one of my full coverage. This is pretty beat up, sorry. It is Bonded by the Rain. Artworks by Leonid Afromov. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Design. This is regular size, regular colors. I'm stitching this on 25 count Lugana 2/1 tent. And I worked on, let's see if I can make this dark so you don't see through it. Here we go. So I had started this project, if you've been around, you know, I started it with Royal Rose. Then as I've made decisions on all my full coverage, I don't like all the park threads. I park threads, but not to this degree. I don't like all of this. So I've been slowly working threads in. So I worked kind of in this area here, working this chunk of threads in. And I don't know, I may have gotten like about 300 stitches. Enjoy working on it a lot. I like the 25 count 2/1 tent. I think the coverage is good. If you hang it on the wall, nobody's going to know. I tell people that all the time. close up, it may not look like it's covering. But once you wash this, number one, the fibers are going to plump up. And then once you get it framed and hung on a wall, people are not going to see that at all. And I stitch under magnification, so I do see coverage versus not covering. I get it. But when I hold it away from myself, am I going to be happy about how that looks on the wall? Yeah. So I'm good. Half stitch makes me feel like maybe I can get it done in my lifetime. We'll see. 1 month this year I'm going to dedicate to one full coverage piece. I'm going to try to stitch only on that for the entire month. I don't know what month yet. I haven't chosen. It probably will not be a summer month. I don't know. We'll see. I was feeling full coverage this month, so here we go. This is the Grand Library. This I'm stitching with Hannah from Hannah Dowling, which is hashtag 6 months early because we plan to have this as a new start. It released, I believe, in June or July, and we started it 6 months early. We talked about it at one of the retreats we were at. Was it Steel City, Hannah? I think it was. Steel City in 2022. We knew this was releasing. The retreat was in February. We knew it was releasing June or July. We decided we were going to start it together January of the next year, and instead we started 6 months early. I am stitching this. Did I say it's Heaven and Earth? Heaven and Earth. Artwork by Amy Stewart. I'm stitching this on 28 count, 2/110. That is my favorite. Although I just ordered a chunk of 25 count from Tiffany at Black Cat X Stitchery. I'm going to do a mini on the 25 count too. And I think I'm going to do 1/1 full cross just so I can have one that's full cross to see how I like it. But this is, again, I had a ton of Park threads. Let's do this. I had a ton of Park threads. So I've been filling in right in this area. And we'll continue to fill in this area and then move them along. You see how I am parking them. I go far enough I feel comfortable and I'll park. But I don't like the millions of thread thing. I just don't. I don't know if, I'm not going to go so far as to say it causes me anxiety. But it's definitely not a look I enjoy looking at when I'm stitching. I would rather, sorry, itchy nose. I'd rather be working the threads through. Yeah. But that's all of my WIPs. I have a couple knitting WIPs. I'll save that for after plans. So if you're only here for the stitching, you can peace out after we talk about plans, or now, if that's what you desire. Knitting will stay at the end. And let's see. Let's talk WIP Go. So the WIP Go calls this month our square 23, which is summer patriotic, and 25, which is my chatelaine. I have two chatelaines. I have mushroom and fern mandala, and I have evening in the park. The chatelaine that I'm going to work on is the mushroom and fern mandala. And I'm going to show you where I'm at. I'm stitching it on 28 count mushroom Lugana. If you have not seen a picture, I have to apologize to you because I don't think I have a picture of it here. I don't. You should Google chatelaine mushroom and fern mandala. There are tons of pictures out there. But I'm going to tell you a story. So I have summer patriotic, which is 3 days, and I have chatelaine, which is 3 days, which is called for WIP Go. I have decided my Maynia plans, and I had decided this before these squares were called, that I was going to take May and dedicate it to my mushroom and fern mandala, which is my chatelaine. So I had already decided that. I also already know I'm going to be stitching on the eagle because that's my Sunday stitch with Gail. So that can qualify as my patriotic. But there's more. I'm going to Stitch North next weekend. The Stitch North retreat in, I want to say Toronto. It's Bremerton, I believe, Ontario, Canada. And I had already decided and talked to Amy from Fiber Arts Amy and the Needleberry Stitcher and a couple others I had already decided I was taking my Miras to that retreat. I had already decided that. I decided that when we were at Steel City in March. I decided I was going to take, I'll show them both to you, Royal Holiday and Queen of Freedom to that retreat. So if I work on Queen of Freedom at that retreat, that will qualify as patriotic as well. And I had already decided to dedicate May to Mushroom and Fern Mandala, which I'm not taking to that retreat. It is too big to take, and it has too many pieces and parts. Beads, threads, you know, all the like. But I want to show you where I am on the Mushroom and Fern Mandala. And I may have to stand up for this. But I'll show you, like, there we go. This is where I am now. This is a virtual blanket. And I'm going to pull it in close and kind of show you some close-ups. This has beads, specialty threads, specialty stitches for those of you that are unfamiliar with chatelaines. And I have, you see the glitter from the beads. And I'm not usually a glitter girl if you followed along. But I am going to set this up in a frame today, and I'm going to have it set up somewhere in my house. And May is getting dedicated to my mushroom and fern. That's where I am on that. I'm going to be excited to see how far I can get. I am excited. Not going to be. Am excited. The other thing that I was thinking for patriotic is I had talked to you guys about... I'll show you Queen of Freedom in a minute. I'm trying not to let everything just kind of knock over. But I had decided, and I'm not sure that I said anything about it here, but I did say something about it to at least Gail. Not even sure if I said anything to you about it with my stitching group on Wednesday nights. I have this pattern in my WIPs. This is Teresa Kogut. This is Land That I Love. And I had talked about on here about looking at your WIPs differently. And maybe I did talk about this here. I'm not really into the houses so much anymore in my stitching journey. So my thought with this one is to stop at the strawberries and pull this border around. I may have to do some recharting. Yeah, I don't know. Bring this border around, you know, this border here. Bring it right here. And then make this into a drum. Could be a flat fold too, but I was originally thinking a drum. So I thought I could also pull this out for patriotic because obviously Land That I Love, it is patriotic. I am stitching this on 40 count Beach Brew using one strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And this is where it's at. And this is the corner right here. This is the top corner right there. And I'm thinking maybe I'll pull that out for patriotic and see if I can't get this maybe finished for the month of May. That would be more than 3 days. However, a finish is a finish, and I'm really craving finishes right now. So those are that's my May plans right there. That being said, I'm taking my 2 mirrors, so let's show you where I am on those so I can show you later on. Oops, I got flosses here. This is being stitched on 28 count. It's hand dyed by Stephanie. Let me see if I have it in my book. I'm totally blanking on the fabric. Usually I'm pretty good at remembering those. Hold on. Abyss. With all the called for floss and beads. And this is where I am. I'm taking her to the Stitch North retreat. My goal with her right now, let's see if I can get her held up. I should probably use those boards that everybody uses. I do have them. Is to get this dress kind of filled in here. Get that area in. Isn't she pretty? I finished this cowl while I was at Steel City. This has a lot of whisper in it, and boy, I'm not a huge fan of stitching with that. However, I like the effect that it gives. It hasn't been brushed or anything yet, so it's not fluffy yet. And I won't brush it until I got all the whisper in, and I have a whole nother big patch of it right in here. So my goal is to work in this area during the Stitch North retreat. So that's her. And I may only take her, to be quite honest with you. She is farther along than Queen of Freedom. Let's see if I can just put the stuff aside. Queen of Freedom. I didn't show you the picture of Royal Holiday, but I'll show you the picture of Queen of Freedom is this. This was an out-of-print chart that I was looking for, and a kind, stitchy friend gave it to me. Just gave it to me. I can't even talk about this community enough and how kind everybody is. I am stitching this on the Primitive Hair Constitution fabric with all the called for. And let me show you where she is right now, because I had her originally pulled out to stitch on for Patriotic for this month, and I just wasn't feeling it. I got her face, her head, started her dress here, and she's got more skin here. So we'll see. I'm kind of doing seaweed with limitations, if you get my meaning. So stitch what I want to stitch on, but I give myself some options. Do you know what I mean? Very much a seaweed year for me. My WIP Go was very loosely organized into categories instead of pieces, because that didn't work well for me. So basically I'm going to stitch on what I want to stitch on. And if I get tired with the eagle today, I'll just switch to something else this afternoon, that kind of thing. So it's still seaweed, but I'm seeing more progress this year than I probably last year. So it'll tickle my throat. Nice allergy season, huh? The other project that I always have in my bin right now is the round robin that's not a round robin that I'm doing with a bunch of other floss tubers. This is Flosstube Friends. And if I name them right now, I'm going to forget somebody, because when I changed the office around, I had a list here with all their names on it, and I do not have it here anymore. So I don't want to forget anybody. So I'm not going to. I am behind. So we have a third person picking out a dress and a color. I haven't finished the second person. But here's where I am right now. Here's the second dress right here. But this is where I am. And so that will be in my basket to work on as well. I'll try to catch up on that. But again, I'm seaweeding right now. So if I can get it done, I will. If not, I will not. And the other thing I wanted to mention here, if you've been around for a while, you know that I had a WIP that was MIA. That WIP was a kit that my husband bought for me. It was a Riolas kit. It is Starry Night, inspired by Van Gogh's painting. I found it. This was being stitched with wool threads on 14 count Aida. And I've decided that I'm going to restart it. I didn't have much of it done. I'm going to restart it on different fabric. Probably a Lugana or even weave. And probably, I think I could do 1/1 tent with the wool thread, but I'm going to try it out. Yeah, the wool thread's not my favorite. I'm still deciding. I was watching Amy Loves Toads, and she had a blue jay pattern, and she didn't like, and I believe it was a Riolas kit as well, and she didn't like stitching with the wool threads, so she converted it to DMC. I'm thinking about doing the same and stitching it on an even weave. Yeah. So this is still very much a work in progress. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with it, and I will let you know. It is a restart regardless, so it will go into my fully kitted bin and not be started. I need to finish some things before I'm going to start anything else. That's how this is going to go. The number of WIPs that I have is... I'm just craving finishes. I don't even think it's the number of WIPs. I think I'm just craving finishes. So I'm just working on stuff till they're finished, and working on my full coverage so they can eventually be finished. But yeah, adjusting WIPs to be like the land that I love. I had totally lost ambition to work on that at all, but then I decided I didn't need to do those houses at the bottom, and all of a sudden I'm wanting to get it finished now. So I really believe in looking at your WIPs differently, because as we stitch and as our tastes change, so does our look, so should our perspective of our WIPs, I guess. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to the retreat this weekend. That is all the stitching plans and WIPs I have. So if you want to peace out at this point before I show my knitting, have at it. I will see you next time. Other than that, I have 2 knitting WIPs to show. The first one doesn't have much, but I'm going to show it here anyway. These are my socks. These are being knitted up with a Forbidden Fiber Co. yarn. I have lost the tag, but there it is. It was part of my Yarn of the Month club. It was a Disney theme, like a princess theme or something, and this was one of them. I'm making footy socks for my daughter. I've got a few more, probably another inch on the foot, because you can see where this is my last marker, and this is how far I got the other day. So yeah, I'm almost to decreasing for the toes. I'm using the vanilla sock, cuff down vanilla sock pattern from Crazy Sock Lady. However, I just kind of modified it myself. I believe it's 10 rows for the cuff, knit 1, purl 1, and then I went right into the heel, because my daughter likes the almost the no-show socks, and this will give her that. So that's one. I'm hoping at some point I get knitted. I'm going to take this to work this week as my knitting project for the lunchtime, and maybe I can get one sock done, another one cast on. That's my hope. The other knitting project I get to show you, let me reach. This is the Hue Shift Afghan. This is pattern. Let me see if I can find it. I got the pattern off of Knit Picks. I also got the kit off of Knit Picks. It comes in several different colorways. I am doing it in the Brava Sport Jewel colorway. There we go. This is stitched, sorry, there's dog fur and everything. We have a lab and it's springtime, just saying. Oh, I gotta give you an update on him too. Because people ask about him and how he's doing. This is stitched in quarters, and then we whip stitch them all together, and then we do the border. So this is the first quarter I already had done. This is the second quarter. I have one more row to put on this one. It is, right next to this row. It's a dark purple. So there we go. And I'm keeping up. I'm doing 2 blocks a week, and I'm keeping up. I've gotten into a rhythm, and I'm keeping up with it so far. So I'm happy about that. I think this year I dialed in my goals on everything enough that I'm able to stay with them and feel happy about my stitching. I'm super happy about that. Very happy. Short floss tube, 34 minutes. That's efficient. Okay, guys. Ralph, our yellow lab, if you've been here, you know he had surgery a couple months ago. He had some hardware put in his knee. He had an ACL tear. They ended up reconstructing the knee a little bit and putting some hardware in. He has hip dysplasia. He is going to turn 3 in October. We found out last year he had hip dysplasia in both hips, and when he tore his ACL in the knee, we found that out. So we went from looking at surgeries on the hips because he's young. We decided against doing surgery on his hips. The vet really didn't think it was necessary, thought he could be managed otherwise, but did recommend that his knee be constructed to be more stable. So we had that done. Thankfully, we have owned labs in the past. We know the deal with their health and hips and knees and all that stuff. So we had health insurance on Ralphie boy. So he's good. They covered a great portion of the surgeries. He has been rehabbing at home as much as we can get into rehab. And this last Thursday, he was brought into the vet sedated. More pictures were taken, and they gave us the all clear to return him back to full activity. So we are working on getting him, although it's more like we're trying not to get him to go full bore right out of the gate, but we're working on getting him rehabbed back to his stamina up and getting him walked and running him again a little bit here and there. And he's doing great. He's finally laying like he used to lay. He used to lay on the floor with the feet out behind him. He has just started doing that again. As if you can't tell, we love our dogs. Matt and I will never be without a dog. And we take them good, bad, and the ugly. And Ralph is a good dog. And we're happy that he's rehabbing well. So thanks for asking about him. And maybe one of these days I will post a short video of him so people that haven't seen him yet can see him. He's really a good dog. Really good dog. I'm glad we did the surgery. Everything's gone well. And we can stop worrying so much now about his activity. So we're quite happy about that. That being said, I don't know when my next video will be. It is some busy weeks coming, but I will try to get back here in a week or two. Until then, take care. Happy stitching. Thanks again for following along. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And other than that, I'll see you next time. Happy stitching. Bye.